and a 1 and a Bing, and we're live in its Agile Ventures. And yeah, so business arising from yesterday. I've got local support pull requests. Thomas and I are busy discussing different approaches to service objects. We're having a nice, interesting discussion there. Hopefully, the local support client meeting is going to be tomorrow at 11. We shall see. Other business, there's lots to clear up and investigate with the AutoGraders and the new homeworks for the MOOC. AV1 and 2 is live. I think it, yeah, basically we need to do an emailing for that today. I suspect you may or may not have time for that, Thomas. Yeah, maybe we can check in later on that. That we've got lots of activity in the various chat channels coming through, so something to look into. Yeah, other things. Yeah, I'm going to be, I think, focused mainly on makers today rather than Agile Ventures, but continue to work on these pull requests with Michael. That's me. Should we go to Thomas? Any Agile Ventures news from your side?
Yeah, well, I set up I just reactivated the old Google group for the course. I sent you a link to it. Hopefully you can access that.
All right, I'll have a look out for it.
Only 3 members now. It's you, me, and Zhao, because he was the last one. So we need to pull in that data. I had some networking issues last night, so I couldn't get into. I was in the Take Me Away meeting for a while, but I just couldn't get stuff to work at home, and I couldn't access internet later on in the evening. Okay. So I couldn't make the migration, so I need to set some time aside for that today.
Okay, well, it sounds like there's an action item for me to get you. I mean, if I can just get you that list of emails, then it'll move you forward.
That would be great. That would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's about it. No impediments on my side.
Joe, we've got Raul in the house as well. Raul, how are things with you?
Things are all right. Still on my way to work. So yesterday we had the client meeting, and managed to demo most of the the features that we built for the backend application and the front end to the client, and he was very happy with it. So we started discussing about how to move forward from there, and I think I need to set up a meeting with Thomas maybe to kind of discuss some of those points, like how do we help him set up the application for the beginning, and then how is the collaboration going to continue in the future with him. Yeah. Okay.
For the Take Me Away project. Great.
Yeah. So, but then he was very happy with that, and yeah.
Can I quick comment on that? Perhaps, Sam, this was perhaps not the discussion for this meeting, but perhaps we could charge him a small amount of money, and this could become some sort of a ground of funding the ventures, in the future. I don't know if that's possible. It is not a charity,
sure.
But business.
Yeah. Well, I think that let's discuss that when we've got some more free time. Absolutely. Right. Yeah, definitely up for discussion. And thanks so much, Raul, for catching some issues there in AV102 and flagging them. It seems like that they're on the next week's stuff that are not been released yet, but that is going to require some updates. I mentioned, we had a very interesting Atlantic Scrum yesterday. We had both Justin, who's a guy from New York, who has a charity project that he wants sorted out. It's called Sarai. It's a new one in the system. And we had Joao in there telling us about the latest stuff from the Met Plus project. So lots of projects for people to work on. Michael, any updates from you? I know you stepped away from the keyboard. If you're there, say hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, yeah, so excellent work on the local support pull requests. Yeah, I sent you another batch of things. I guess you've read them already and you wanted to chat, or how's that?
Yeah, I just renamed the service.
Right.
And pushed that. So the other thing is, not every service has to have the call method. I mean, that's. I've seen different thoughts on that.
Yeah. So we're talking here, absolutely, and we're talking about service objects in the Rails framework, which is probably out of scope. But I mean, this is the kind of thing that in about 8 weeks, Maker Sweden, you're going to be really interested in. But it's probably a bit out of scope for you at the moment. I don't know, Thomas, if you want to get your guys on with their day. Raul, stick around, and I'll just have a little chat with Michael about service objects. Of course, Thomas, if you think this is the right thing for your students to be hearing right now, then that's absolutely fine. But I suspect it may be a little bit out of scope for them.
I think so too. So I'm going to say thank you, and I talk to you potentially this afternoon, okay? And reach out to me when you have that list, and I can set.
Will do. Excellent. Thanks, Thomas. All right. Good
okay.
luck, everyone.
I'm also gonna drop out from the meeting. So
Nice one.
talk to you later.
Thanks, Ralph. Take care. Good. Make it
Ciao.
Sweden. Good luck today. See you all same time, same bad channel tomorrow. All right. Bye for now. Okay, Michael. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean, the service objects is yeah. I'm less. Well, I don't know. I mean, certainly the engineering team here is very. I think using just the call method is something they're quite keen on. Not that that's the.
I've heard that. I mean,
yeah.
But I've also heard that. I believe that one. I've heard other things though. I've heard that some people like more explicit methods.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clearly like an evolving area. I mean, and we've more as I think John has used run previously. I mean, I guess the argument for having a non-descriptive method is the argument that it should be going through a single method, and that all of the description of the process that the thing does, the action that the thing does, should be going into the class name. And that makes some sense to me to the extent that one is trying to, make sure that it's a service. Do you know what I mean? I guess there's not, I mean, the service description could be split over the class name and its single method that you use to run it, which could be, anything that you want to be. It makes some sense to me. Do you know what I'm saying about kind of forcing the full description of the process into the class name in a sort of self-documenting fashion?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but
yeah, not that that's what everybody has to do. I mean, that seems to, fit in with the bigger picture of trying to make lots of composable, reusable services. But yeah, I guess.
But other people make the argument that I guess it's not very it's not very Ruby-esque, at least to me. Go around calling things run, or to go around calling them call when there's better names.
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, the more that I look at this, and
usually
the more
Ruby methods have descriptive names.
They do, absolutely. Although I think that the argument here, and the more that I look at all this, the more that I see parallels with what people are trying to do with Haskell and so on. And but I think that's in the situation where you have multiple methods on the class that you're calling, then multiple public methods, then absolutely. If they don't have descriptive names, that's a bad thing. I think that there's the argument here in the service object that the point is that there should be right. You should only ever Anyway, I mean, I think that's something to consider. But that's what was I looking at here? Single invite. I mean, I think that there's various things here. The bigger issue that I think we have, and I'm probably going to have to jump off and coordinate with other people here because I've got stand up starting in 15 minutes and we need to coordinate. I think that the thing that's causing a little bit of confusion, certainly at my end at the moment, if I can find, what have I done with all of that? I've minimized them. Is the fact that I think I made the comments on like pull request 173 when kind of the place where you originally introduced this pull the stuff into the service was in 172, and so I guess you've kind of put. I mean, it's my fault in some ways for putting the comments on the 173 thing, but I guess you're sort of now there's sort of two features here and a refactoring that are still to be pulled in. I wonder if it makes sense to try and move the refactoring over to 172 and let's get just the 172 feature with those parts of it refactored pulled in, and then we can deal with this 173. Does that make sense?
Sure. I'm not sure.
I mean, maybe the path of least resistance is I just pull in 172. I mean, that introduces this this version into the code base, and then the refactoring comes through in here. But do you know what I'm saying? It's like I mean, I can do that if you're keen to avoid having to move the different commits around and so on. But it feels like this pull request now, email org admin, it contains this feature and it contains a refactoring of this 172 as well. And
so
ideally, those two things would be considered separately. I mean, if it's easier for you to break it so that 174 is a refactoring pull request on 172, and I'll pull in 172 and then 173, and then we'll deal with the refactoring. I mean, it's certainly not the end of the world. But maybe I'll leave that with you to consider how to structure those things so that the pull requests are, each doing. I mean, we want a single responsibility.
The thing is that the commits, like the methods, are kind of overlapping.
Sure.
So
no, I understand. I mean, can I
just pull in a commit? You can't just like cherry pick commit.
Well, but no, indeed. But like, so for example, like you've got 173. Some of these commits are specifically to do with the refactoring. So you could take those. You could create you could roll back this branch to a point before there was so much refactoring, and then submit the refactoring as a separate pull request. Right, that would allow me to assess this functionality independently of the refactoring for this functionality.
So you want to have 172, 173, and then a final refactoring that incorporates them all. What
I really want to do right now is leave that with you to consider. Maybe ultimately you will say, okay, no, from my side, for the commits, 172 and 173 as they are is how I'd like you to consider it. I've got to go off now into other meetings, but I was just saying, like, in terms of, making progress here, I'm noticing that we're conflating several things. Maybe they're sufficiently related that they should be conflated, and that's okay. But maybe I can leave that with you to consider, and then I'll come back to it, on my train journey home.
All right, bye.
Cool. All right, bye for now. Take care.